This episode of the Muay Thai podcast is brought to you by pmtlifestyle.com, authentic Muay Thai lifestyle by Pru. Definitely go check out the website at pmtlifestyle.com for some awesome lifestyle merchandise. That's for those of you out there either involved in Muay Thai, looking at getting involved in Muay Thai, and embrace a healthier lifestyle to live the life of a Nak Muay. Go check it out. All right, so we have Mr. Lonnie Beck in today on the Muay Thai podcast, joining us from the East Coast. He said just outside of Philly. Is that correct?
That's correct, and it's a whopping 38 degrees outside right now. So
yeah, you know what's funny is that we were talking about before is it was like 45 degrees here in California where we're at. So it's not that far from me, but you got the negative, wind chill and snow, all that stuff over there, right?
Yeah, but the problem is it was 45 degrees for you guys this morning. What's it going to be out throughout the day? So this is our resting temperature, bro. We're just stuck with this all day.
Yeah, it just keeps getting worse and worse, right? It just keeps getting colder and colder.
Just positive mental attitude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you enjoyed the cold, right?
Some days I do. Yeah. And you know what? Listen, like I've been here my whole life. So like we'll get snow and there's really nothing more majestic than like an evening snow, like driving around the moonlight. It really is. It has a little bit of like romanticism to it. You have to do a little bit of work, but like, you get that season feel, make a fire. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you feel the seasons, right?
For sure.
California, we get seasons too. It's called sun.
Yeah, sun and sun. You know what's funny? A very good friend of mine lived in SoCal. I'm sure he's well known to the majority of your community, which is Shane Faison. Shane and I are very close friends. And the reason that he left California is because he missed the seasons. And he's a Philly kid. So he moved back here.
There you go. I mean, I do hear that from a lot of people that are like from the East Coast that live out here. And they're like, man, I miss the smell of fall. I miss the smell of winter.
Yeah.
So I can definitely understand with that. So before we kind of get into it, tell me a little bit about like your martial arts academies that you're a part of, and kind of what you're doing now with the Muay Thai advisory group. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started in the academy that I'm sitting in right now when I was 10 years old, which was 33 years ago. And so I've been, everybody's academy is unique, but I really believe that this place is different because, I grew up in this place and I had an opportunity to purchase it from my teacher back in 2007, which was probably the worst time to purchase a service-based martial arts industry because we went through the economic collapse, the housing collapse in 2008. So, we made it through and our community is incredibly strong, but we sort of diversified our offerings to our local area. And I started training in Muay Thai in Philadelphia at Body Arts with my old coach, Angel Cartagena. And, we started offering Muay Thai a number of years after that, and then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And we've been able to expand over the last couple of years to 4 locations, scouting our 5th, hopefully in 2024. And, I was really involved day-to-day operations in the gym, most academy owners, pulling anywhere between 8 and 12, 14-hour days. And since I've started to expand and hire a staff, I've had more opportunities to do other things where I fill the majority of my time now with, spending time with my daughter and my wife and my staff. But then it's also given me opportunities to sort of branch out and do other things, which, I've been involved in the Muay Thai community for a very long time. I was a very active coach for quite a few years and built a lot of friends in this industry. Like, I think this particular sector of the martial arts is very different. We fight each other, I think, harder than any other martial art. And yet it develops some of the deepest bonds between coaches and fighters that I've ever seen in competition. And I developed a lot of really close relationships with people that were running their gyms. And I noticed a trend where, people they were struggling, man. And it was very difficult to run an academy. And I reached a level of autonomy and success that I decided to start sharing it with folks. And I found a lot of joy in being able to deliver the tactics that I used in our academies to grow, and watch my friends do it.
Yeah.
And watch them relieve some stress in their life, to create money, create some free time, and really start to enjoy life as opposed to just being a slave to their academy. So that's sort of how Muay Thai Advisory Group grew. And we keep it small, and it's really a lot of fun. Like, we have a really great time. It's a very small group of folks that we really, really enjoy. And, it's been a really fun journey to do this with these folks.
Oh yeah, I can bet. And, I have a couple of friends of mine that have joined some of you guys. I don't know if you call it like weekend workshops, because you guys do like these intensives and stuff like that too. And I've heard a lot of good things. And some of my friends that did it are people that really do need that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Because we need these people to last a long time.
My pleasure,
right?
bro.
Yeah, they need to be here.
Yeah. And it's, we.
Go ahead.
Yeah, listen, dude. Like, the health of the Muay Thai in the United States is directly connected to the health of the academies that they come through, man. It's 100%. Like, if these academies are failing and they're going under, we're just taking opportunities away from fighters. We're stopping the development of athletes in this sport, in this country. So, I feel like it sort of has a bottom up effect where the businesses are healthier, the coaches are healthier, and all of a sudden, the fruit will reveal a tree. We'll have better athletes to be able to go compete internationally.
Absolutely.
At least that's my pipe dream.
Yeah. I mean, it's about like the health, it's like you started in the time where it's like, a lot of the older Thai instructors that are in America, they're retiring, they're passing away. They're no longer involved. They go back to Thailand. It's like, hey, like all that groundwork, we're kind of standing on their shoulders, and we got to keep that going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, this tradition in this country is not going to die on our watch, bro.
No, definitely not. And it makes me, that's one of the reasons I wanted to like talk to you, and reach out to you to get you on here, man. And with that too, like, is there any like, for anybody that's listening on the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast, is there any secret like, or message or idea or product that you use or implement for yourself, your business, your students, that helps you focus and tackle your most vital priorities like each day? Because you're helping with 4 academies. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there are no secrets, right? I think that the same thing that comes down to being a good fighter is the same thing that will develop a strong business, and that's like, one, having the right information, having the right coach, right, are sort of synonymous in themselves, but then also just being consistent. Now, in terms of like operating 4 academies and doing MTAG and volunteering my time for USA Muay Thai, like, I'm a bit scatterbrained, and I'm a really analog guy. So like, this is my Bible, right? I actually have my actual Bible, but this is what keeps me on task. Like, I'm super analog. I write everything down. I get up in the morning before my girls get up, and I write down exactly what my objective is for the day and the 3 big rocks for the day. And then no matter what, like, I always refer back to this. If I find myself getting off task, like, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what I do. And that, like, when I start to implement that into people that I help, they start to see like a ton of growth and a ton of like there's this difference between being busy and being productive, right? We're all like, we can fill 12 hours in our day, especially this time of year, but it's like, did you actually get anything done? And if you refer back to that analog book, it's like, oh yeah, like 10 of the 10 things I said I was going to get done, I got done.
Yeah.
Bada bing, so I'm really, really analog.
Yeah. I can, that's very relatable. I have like, cause I run a couple of different projects myself, and I have a different book for each one of them. That's like that.
Yeah.
I found myself, I'm like, I need to have 3 different ones because they're so different in what I do.
Yeah.
But definitely relatable. And anybody that's out there, I recommend, if you're listening, his Bible is like a notebook, right?
Dude, this is the Holy Grail, man. Like, this is a force multiplier for you in your life. Like, this is what's going to keep you on track to whatever that goal you said was going to be, whether it's in 3 months or 12 months or 6 months. And not only that, you can actually go back and use this as a reference and a self-audit over the quarter.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things that I wanted to get done in the next 3 months. Did I actually do it? And if the answer is no, it's like, well, what the hell have I been doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, how did I get lost on that journey to get these goals done that I said I needed to do, and what, like, I set these, how come I didn't do them? Right.
Because listen, especially as a coach, like, you're coaching fighters, like, it is so easy to get off task.
Oh, 100%.
And like that, coaching fighters, like, I actually just retired from coaching fighters. I've been doing it for the better part of 15 years. And I realized that, like, this is the next stage of my life. But one of the things that made me make that decision is that my mind was always occupied with my fighter. It was like, are they cutting weight? How's their health? How's their training going? Are they supplement their training? And I'd fall asleep at night thinking about that. And, it can cloud your mind, and then it starts to get in the way of everything else in your life.
100%.
And, if you just compartmentalize it, you can still manage that. You can still be an active coach. You can still run a gym, and you can still be, very well involved in your family if you need to.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of purpose, a lot of direction, and discipline, man.
Yeah, the big thing you set there, I think, was purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
figuring out what that is.
Yeah.
Why do we have a Muay Thai gym? Why do you have a jiu-jitsu gym? It's like, answer that question before you start doing anything else.
Exactly. 100%. And, that kind of answered already one of my questions. I think, what is one of your daily habits that you believe contributes to your success for what you're doing?
Well, I'll tell you what, that, Jonathan, like, my daily habits, I don't, like, I'm not a very organized person, but I am very routinized. And, like, one of the things that, like, I watched, man, if you're anything like me, if, like, you get into the Instagram hole, like, you see all these influencers, and, like, there was one guy on there who's saying, like, I wake up at 3:50 and me and my wife do 20 minutes of active meditation, and then we do these, like, weird seances on the treadmill. Like, you don't have to do that stuff. No. I think Alex Hormozy said, he goes, he read something a while ago that says, if you don't make your bed, you'll never be successful. He goes, he owns $1 billion in equity in companies. And he goes, I've never once made my bed.
Yeah.
And it's like, what works for you? But, like, what works for me is, like, I get up, I'm the first person up in my house, and I go downstairs, and, like, I actually do this. This might be a strange thing along the lines of what I just kind of knocked, but, like, I put my hands on my kitchen counter, and I just sort of internalize the things that I'm grateful for. Like, I have a nice house. I have a beautiful wife. I have a healthy little kid, and I have a great staff, and I live in the best country in the world. Like, time to go. Like, that just sets me up. Make a cup of coffee, and then I grab my book and I write the things down that, like, I'm definitely going to do today. And then that just keeps me purposeful throughout the day, and I'm not getting bogged down. One more thing that's really helped me is, like, I used to be a yes man. And like, if you're empathetic like me at all, like, anytime someone in my life needed help, I said yes.
Yeah.
Whether they needed an ear to talk to for 2 hours. And man, like, it was a hard thing for me to start to say no, but, like, it just weighed on my mind all day. Like, I would talk to my friend, and then their problems, I internalized their problems. And it just, like, I was driving my daughter to soccer one day, and I missed the turn for soccer because I was thinking about my friend's problems. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing, man? Like, there's a little girl in the back seat I'm not paying attention to. I'm getting her a soccer game late because I'm worried about other people's stuff.
Yeah, I'm not being present.
Like, yeah, just, like, being really routinized in the morning, planning your day, and then, like, saying no when appropriate has really helped me over this last year.
Well, what's funny is, like, I think that's something that, this with fighters, they asked me, like, what's the best diet tip? I got this from Mark Beecher. He said, you turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right, and you repeat. Just no. Learning how to say no to things is very, I definitely relatable. And like you said, it comes with, like, the empathetic and working with people, right? Because you genuinely care, and it's hard to, like, pull that out and say, oh, I need to spend time with my daughter. No, right? So
what's funny, man? You mentioned Beecher. It's like I channel, like, Beecher's a friend of mine as well. Like, he is with most people in this area, but, Like, I'm like, I got to channel my Beecher and just be like, no, get out of my face. Like, he's got this edge and he's got this conviction. And I'm like, I need to do that more. And so like, anytime I do it, like that's who I channel is my Beecher. I have to send him a message Beecher after this and tell him, channel Beecher. No,
yeah, just tell him you talk to me, because he's he grew up on the island. My family's Hawaiian and stuff too, hence the name. So yeah, he grew up out there and everything. So he's he knows.
What is the origins of this name that you have?
Pu'u is my family's last name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Pu'u is my family's last name. It's Kanaka Maoli, so it's like Native Hawaiian.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful, man. I love that.
Yeah. So the students came up with this. I didn't pick it. It's like one of those things. And if you know business, it's like when you're trying to create a brand, sometimes it's like, damn it. But we're committed now. We've been 10 years in it. So here we are.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
So kind of going through that too, it sounded like you had like some gratitude practice is what you were kind of doing for yourself. And I'm a firm believer in that as well. So I didn't think it was weird at all. Tell us about like a challenging time or situation. Obviously you've been through it because you've been in this industry for a long time. You were training fighters for 15 years. That has its own challenges. So tell me about a challenging time or situation that could have devastated or even ruined what you do, but like you persisted, you overcame, you made tough decisions, and now that it's like a very painful memory, it serves as a valuable learning experience, whether it be in business or in life.
Well, it was in business. I had a staff member that was through him training here, became a very close personal friend. And then this person was managing the gym, and we sort of tolerated a lot of things for a very long time, inconsistencies, tardiness, not being able to be on top of tasks and taking care of certain things. And because of my relationship with this person, I let it go on for much, much longer than it should have. And then it got to sort of a point where it was really affecting my mindset, my relationship with this person, and also the health of the company. And we were just stuck. And the only obvious decision was to let this person go. And it was the first time that I actually had to fire somebody. Yeah. And it was actually sitting in the room that I did that. And I remember this, like this physical feeling in my stomach. It was almost like I was fighting. And, I was getting nauseous, and I was like, I dreaded the day. And then we made the move. And after that happened, the rest of my staff came to me and sort of voiced that, like, yeah, we've been waiting for you to do this for like 6 months. What were you waiting for? And, unfortunately the relationship didn't last. It was just way too complicated for that to happen, but it improved the morale of my staff. It improved the culture of the front end of my gym. And anytime I look back and I think about that, like how difficult that was to let this person go, it was soon after that we started expanding. And once we started expanding, it was like, then that's when Dragon Gym really started to take off. And I think that can be sort of an analogy for anything, whether it's a person in your life, whether it's a habit in your life, like that thing that we've been putting off to do has like, it's so much more impact if you don't do it, as opposed to actually ripping the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And it's something that I take with me in life. And it was a very, very hard thing for me to do. And it's still like one of those broken relationships that weighs on my mind. But like what we have now, I think, is because we made that decision.
Yeah, 100%. Being in business, it's not always like, sometimes you're perceived to be the bad guy. And it's like, man, I had to make the decision because there's all these other people that rely on it and this whole company, right? But once people have context, I think people tend to, hopefully they end up.
Yeah, and a lot of times people don't get that context, right? Yeah. Like they don't understand what was happening, and you're like, you know what? You're just standing there with a bunch of arrows in your chest, and you're like, okay, like this is what I signed up for. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. Going into that too, like talk about the arrows and stuff like that. Whether it be being like a glutton for punishment or not. But like, what do you think is a really critical skill that, like a business owner, particularly like a martial arts business owner, or Muay Thai, need to master in order to thrive today?
Man, that's a great question. I think that, listen, every single martial art is incredibly dogmatic, right? Like you get into the old school karate guys and they're like, taekwondo. You get into the taekwondo guys and they're like, the Muay Thai guys. And it just sort of trickles down the line. And it's even in Thai boxing and in jiu-jitsu. And I think that we get so wrapped up in that dogma of our art that it also just creates a habit in how we learn anything. And, I think the most important thing for us, anybody in business, to understand is that when you open a business that is a skill-based service business like Muay Thai, that there's two things that you have to know. You have to know Muay Thai, but you also have to know the utility of running this company, and you have to be really open-minded. I think open-mindedness and willingness to learn from others and then being able to take action, like even when you're scared, because let's be honest, like a lot of this shit is terrifying. Like I have to learn what I have to do this. I have to put how much money over there. Like it's really scary. But if you're open-minded and you're willing to actually step away from Muay Thai for a second and say, this is how I service my community. This is how I reach more people. And this is how I actually start to make, like, it's not the end all be all, but like money and time. Right. Then I think that's like, in my experience, when I coach people that are in this industry, like the ones that are open-minded and willing to do it and show up to the meetings every single week, it's no surprise that they're the most successful and they have the biggest delta of growth of anyone. So I think just like, hey man, we got to let this ego go. And we just got to be like, yes, sir. Right. All right. I'll do it.
Yeah. Be a student.
Be a student, man. It's hard as a coach to be a student, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many coaches are still training anymore, right? Like, how many coaches are going out and learning a new martial art? Like, I think a lot are, but I think the overwhelming majority in the whole martial arts industry, like they learned something, I don't know, 20 years ago, and they're just doing the same thing. It's like, I have 20 years experience. Like, do you, or do you have 1 year of experience 20 times? Right?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely relatable. And we saw it in Muay Thai particularly too, because it's like the evolution, access to knowledge is more readily available now than ever. People are, I always tell people, and I make invites for people. I'm like, hey, this is open to you. You can come, because it's like, I see it because I want people to grow, and they get stuck in their ways. Like, no, I know everything. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think
it's like, what's your response when a fighter tells you that, right? It's like, I think the number one most important virtue a fighter can have, and people fight me on this all the time, is compliance.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you came to me for advice, and I'm going to tell you what to do. Like, you can be talented. I'm sure you've had talented people that are non-compliant. Like, how do they work out? They might win a few fights, but like, that's not a success for longevity in this. No. You're not going to transcend pro Muay Thai and go to one. You're not going to do any of that stuff. But like, if you just like do what you're paying me to tell you to do, we're good, man. Like, you're going to do it.
Yeah. And it's like they're not going to make that good of a team member either, like for your morale and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, they get a little bit selfish, but yeah, for sure.
Me.
No one knows everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we all have them in our gyms.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's just, it's humans, it's people. You're in the people business, So tell us about, like, obviously mentors. So mentors, what's like a most influential lesson you learned from one of the mentors, and how it helped you shape you into the business person you are and martial artist you are today?
So one of the biggest pieces of advice that I got I have a couple different mentors, some people that are just close to me in life, and then some people that I actually pay to be a mentor, to be a source of. But it was my old Taekwondo teacher, still alive. His name's Grandmaster Go, and Korean guy, very thick accent, very quiet. But one of the things that he always tell me, he called me Ronnie because he couldn't say Lonnie. He said, Ronnie, he goes, whenever you have ideas, action, just and what he was saying was like, just do it. Just try stuff, man. Like, go out and do this. And if you try, it's a numbers game, right? If you try 10 things and 5 work, you got 5. You didn't get a 50%, you got 5, as opposed to not doing anything and ending up with a net gain of 0. So like, we're implementers, we're ideas, we're creators, and we try a lot of things. And that over the last, however many years we've been in business, 16, 17 years in business, that's how I have this critical mass of things that work, because I just try stuff. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I learned a lot about from one of the mentors, that I go to a business workshop every year in Arizona called Business Black Ops. It's a lot of old DOD guys, a lot of physicians and attorneys. And one of the things that I really get from them is like, one was that gratitude exercise that I do every day, because it creates a lot of perspective and thanks, and helps me realize that like everything's okay. But also like working to find your replacement. It's like, now that I'm not doing so much in my gym, it's like, who am I going to train to replace me? And then teaching them how to do that as well. So, you got your point person on the floor, used to be me. Now it's not, because I've trained people to do it. But now how do I train people over there? So I have this generational bench, so that this thing is going to last far beyond me, right? Yeah. This gym was here for 20 years before I was here, and I expect it to be another 50 years after I go. And the only way that I can do that is really developing bench strength. So like, man, just like implementing, trying stuff, putting it on the editor's floor if it doesn't work, putting it up on the wall in a frame if it does, being grateful every day, and then just like training whoever's next, like finding that next, like American Idol, if you will. Yeah. It's has really helped me a lot in growth.
Awesome. Solid advice for sure.
Cheers.
Yeah, definitely solid advice. Action taking is a key thing. I mean, how many times do you see people that come in and say, I want to do this, and they don't take the action, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, look at you, dude. You got a podcast. How many episodes do you have?
This is we're coming up on 150.
So 150 episodes. Like, how were the first 3?
That first 3 were
probably yeah, like you probably like look back at them and you're like, oh God, like my voice, the editing, the video, like all that stuff. Yeah. And now you just kept going, dude. Yeah. You just action, you had this goal, and now 100%. You're 150 episodes deep in this thing, man. That's commendable.
Yeah. And thank you. It's just like, for me, I'm an action taker. So that's why when you're saying that, and I know that about myself, I'm like, yeah, 100%. That's like 100%
just do it, man.
True. Just figure it out, go with it. Yeah. And you'll get better along the way.
Yeah, it's like there's an old analogy. It's like, you have something to do, build the parachute on the way down.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
that's a good analogy.
You'll never get you're going to figure it out, aren't you?
Yeah. And sometimes it takes that fall for you to be able to figure it out too. 100%.
So exactly,
kind of going down, like, I call this like breaking down the recipe for success. Building, scaling stuff, you always kind of have to have like a right recipe to follow, and they're like the action steps and the ingredients for that recipe become more apparent, and you have like the goals that lead into this recipe, right? Just one little step at a time, and the end result is, you create like this project or this goal or this business that is really like, you have this system that's built in. It's predictable, it's repeatable, obviously, because you're talking to other people about it. This business owner that's doing this along with, their business can produce the same results for other customers too, or their students, right? So whether it be in martial arts and jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, or a student of business, I kind of want to ask you, I'm going to go into some of these things about like, what is the recipe for success and ingredients that have helped you along your path? Like, if for the first one is there like if there was a magic reset button you could hit, you're like, boom, 15 years ago, 17 years ago, as it relates to you starting your journey in business, what methods would you go back into place and like implement sooner rather than later?
Well, if I'm going to talk about just the business as a company, and I don't want this to sound insincere or I don't care about students, because
100%.
I very much do. This place is my home. But if I were to reset 15 years ago, I would have sat down on the table and said, what do you want this thing to look like when you're 40 years old? I want it to be 10 locations and I want it to be worth $25 million. So if I were to be able to rewind back when I'm 26, 27 years old, when I purchased this company, that's every single decision that I made would have been weighed against that goal. Right. So like I would have been able to let, underperformers go. I would have said no to certain opportunities that cost me time and money. I would have done a hell of a lot more research on, longevity in business and marketing and stuff like that, because back then my goal was like, this is fun. Like I like doing it and the pay's like, okay. I wasn't making much money back then, but had I known that like I wanted this thing to be 10 locations and worth 25 million bucks, every decision I made would have come back to that. And, we kind of got that later in our career, but that's okay. I think it's the learning curve, but I think the point of like coaching, like the reason that a coach has a great ability to coach a fighter is because like you're here in your life and I've been there. Like I know the things that you're going through. I also know the mistakes that you're going to make, and I can help you circumvent those mistakes by my mentorship. Yeah. And, that's what coaches do, right? You build a fighter and you're like, well, don't cut 20% of your body weight. Yeah. Don't do that. Want to know how I know? Because I did it and it sucked and I gassed out halfway through the first round. So the same thing when it comes to business, it's like, figure out what the heck you're doing. Like, what do you want this thing to look like? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to just close it one day? Do you want to do this until you're 80 years old? I don't know. Yeah. But had I known that back then, like every decision I made along the way would have probably been different.
100%. So, kind of, and you probably would have thanked your future self for going back and giving you that information too.
Well, listen, life is good now, right? Like I said, I have gratitude. I'm like, everything worked out the way that like I had hoped it. I couldn't plan this better. But I could have probably saved myself a lot of headache and lost money had I known some of this stuff.
Yeah, some gray hairs.
Oh yeah, they're there, brother. 43 years old is, it's creeping in.
Yeah. It's funny. People are like, man, you're starting to get gray. I'm like, yeah, man. 10 years of business and trading and managing and operating will do that to you. Kind of going into that.
Yeah, dude. Too. And you guys took COVID harder than I did.
Man, that we've talked a lot about that on here, and we're just now starting to make amends with our local government officials on that. And they're starting to become supportive of it. And it's like, man, it only took me barking down you guys' neck for 3.5, 4 years, So
holy smokes.
Yeah. What's one strategy that you would give for business owners and their teams like that they could consistently apply every day and it would kind of compound into a big win for them?
I think one thing that we do really successful here at our gyms is we have meetings. We have a couple different meetings, but we have a once a week meeting. It's every single Monday, and we go over everything. We go over who's in the pipeline, who's on trial number 1, trial number 2, trial number 3, who quit, why they quit, and then we go over like events, so that when we sort of like 1, 2, 3 break, and we go throughout the week. Like we know all the metrics, we know all the pain points, we know all the losses, we know all the wins. And most importantly, we know exactly what we're doing throughout the week. And it just sets the team up for like, I hate this, it's overused cliche, sets them up for success. Yeah. So that when they get to Friday, they're like, we did this, 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 and this. And then we come back to the next week. And then we do, we train, our staff trains together. So every Tuesday at 11, we all get together, we train, like physically train in whatever the curriculum that we're doing for that week is. Sometimes it's jujitsu, sometimes it's Thai boxing, sometimes it's traditional arts. But it keeps everybody on the same page as opposed to sort of like the old way, which I know most people still operate this way. Have a coach, a fighter that teaches your Tuesday 7:30 Thai boxing class, and you're like, hey, what's up, Carl? And then Carl goes and like pulls something out his ass to teach. And then the next night, someone else is teaching something completely different, and then the messaging is different, and they ask people prices and they don't know. And it's like, just get everybody together, meet, once a week, consistency, like it's written in stone, and you will see vast improvements in like your students' experience on and off the mat. And then also just the confidence of whoever it is that's working for you or volunteered. Like when they show up for work, like, oh, I know what I'm doing today. They don't have to make it up. You know what I mean?
They know exactly. They can come in and feel like they got the tools they need to succeed in what they're doing. So, let's say like you fast forward 1 year from now, you're looking back on decisions you're considering making right now as of today. You know, we're in December 2023. Imagine the people you're working with today exceed your highest expectations, like your team that you got there. And what recipe or strategy did they consistently apply that delivered the most value to the business?
So we have a couple really top performers on our team, and what separates them from just sort of the average worker is one, they're incredibly creative, but the reason that they're creative is because they pay attention to their career outside of their work hours. So it doesn't consume them, but like, you know, they're learning about wealth management. They're learning about, investments and saving money. They're learning about different strategies to teach kids differently. They're training a lot. And I think that's what separates them. And then for me as the owner of people there, like those are the folks that I want to incentivize to stay, which is why I think the fiscal health of a company is really important to keeping people, because I want to pay them. Like I want to encourage them to stay. I want to be able to give them a really, really great salary. I want to be able to pay for their benefits. I want to be able to mentor them in like how to save money and create wealth, because quite honest, these are the people I'm going to sell this business to.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to make sure they're set up.
Dude, like, and if like I have this goal of like 10 locations and $25 million, like who the hell is going to buy that? If they're getting paid $25 a class, like they're never going to be able to do it. So then I have two options: sell it to somebody that's unattached to the brand, and then the whole thing dies, or it just closes. You know?
You liquidate and you close shop, and which is tragic after all that amount of time, right?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, come on, man! Right? It's like we talked earlier. It's like this thing's not dying on our watch.
No,
right? This thing's been going on way too long. Like we gotta keep tossing coal in the engine.
I agree 100%. And that kind of goes into this next thing. Let's imagine you have a whole room of martial artists, business owners, prospective business owners who are just starting out. They're battling their way through fears, worries, doubts, struggles to find like their footing. Like, oh, what's the next step? You know, what's one strategy you recommend to focus on to best ensure success for them?
I say this because I run a for-profit company that does this, but this is not the reason I'm saying it. Is pay a mentor and pay someone that you can be accountable to, that you can report to every single week. You offer your metrics to them. They can actually look, sort of like open the kimono and see everything, so that they can get their hands and guide you in what to do. Whether that's me or someone else, it doesn't matter. But I think doing this thing on your own, that you have very little education in the business side, not the martial arts side, is like we're just winging it, you know. And I winged it for a very long time, and I wish I hadn't. And it's like there's people out there that are willing to give you this information, to sell you this information, I should say. But it's very well worth it. Oh, yeah. And, people that join our group, our MTAG group, one of the things that they say is like, dang it, I wish I had done this sooner. Right. Yeah. And it's like, well, you didn't, you're here now. That's okay. Let's start. And then like I said, man, just like involving yourself with a mentor, somebody that is like, has integrity. Like, I think for someone that you're going to give money to, integrity is integral. I think it's one of the most important things. And two is like, are they actually who they say they are? Yeah. Like, are these people actually making the metrics that they say they are, or is they just like selling you smoke and mirrors? So like, man, find someone that's going to guide you. It's like this, dude. I always give these guys this analogy. It's like you want to fight and you don't have any fight experience, and you just go online on YouTube and you want to learn how to fight, and then you book your first fight. what's everyone in that room going to do when they see or they hear about that? They're gonna be like, okay, I'll take that fight, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, it's you need a coach, man. You need someone that's in your corner that when things get rough, you know, and that 3-minute bell, you come back and we're like, okay, here's what happened there. Take a breath, take some water. I want you to slip to the outside of his jab this time instead of the inside, because that's stupid. And then you do that, and then you make those adjustments, and then you go back out and the same thing happens again. That's all business mentoring is. You know what I mean? I digress. Like, I was talking to a very well-known fighter, and he's like, I slip to the inside of the jab all the time. I'm like, well, if you're world champion, you're allowed to do that.
You can get away with that.
That's you. Yeah.
You can get away with that.
So yeah, finding a mentor, man, finding someone that's credible, finding somebody that has integrity, that has your best interests, that's someone that's not going to gouge you on a price. You know, there's struggling martial arts schools that come to me, and, you know, I have a price. I don't do anything for free, but I won't take their money and let them into the group, because it's going to make them miss their next credit card payment or mortgage payment. I'm like, listen, man, I make my money on doing this stuff, not teaching it. And I'm not going to do that to you. But like, when you get to a little bit of a critical mass, then comes like, there's somebody that's charging like 25 grand a year for business mentoring. And which is, hey man, maybe he's worth it. I don't know. Like, I would pay Alex Hormozy $25,000 a year, or I would pay Bedros Keuilian $25,000 a year, because they have a proven model. But like, they would also audit to make sure that I can pay that $25,000 a year. So just make sure that people are good, man. They got to be good people.
100%. And there's a lot of, like, you know, like you said, people look on, you know, YouTube and like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do this. But it's the reality is there's also people who are capitalizing on this, you know, coaching, right? And they pretend to know what they're talking about, and they kind of sell it. Like you said, I think you said it, make sure that like what they're selling you and what they're saying they're making is actually like something you can see and they can prove, because and just being authentic, you know, the integrity, right. I think you hit on it with that. And, you know, definitely a good message for anybody out there that's listening on the podcast and stuff like that as well. You know, I know we're getting up on an hour here. You probably get going soon. And I appreciate the time. I want to ask, like, when you're in martial arts and stuff like that, for as long as you've been, and seeing the changes in the industry, right? What do you think for some, because Muay Thai is hot right now, it's growing, right? When it's not, what would your advice be to those people?
When it's hot, or
when it's not hot, like when Muay Thai is like, you know, because there might be another thing that comes on. Maybe there isn't, right? Maybe Muay Thai. Man. Yeah.
Listen, I think my wife's a financial planner. And one of the things that I've learned a lot from her in our experience in investing money is there's always opportunity at the dip, right? So anytime something sort of like, you know, goes to the bathroom in bed, right? I try not to say bad words. I did earlier, but like there's an opportunity there, right? Like Coca-Cola stock goes from, I don't know, $150 down to 20. Like, buy Coke.
Yeah,
like, it's
definitely
not going away. This art of Thai boxing has way too much history, has way too much heritage, has the most incredible culture of any martial art that I've come across in my life. And it's also hands down the most exciting. And I think that the dip in listen, we've watched American Muay Thai soar over the last 5 years, right? Like we were the laughing stock of IFMA. You know, people would go to IFMA and the Russians would laugh at Americans. The Thai would laugh at Americans. You go to the World Games, the world would laugh at Americans. USA Muay Thai's team got Team of the Year at the World Games. We got like an incredible amount of medals 2 IFMAs ago, like almost doubled them this past IFMA. Some of my metrics may be off, but like we took the world by surprise.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And like this like they shattered it, right? And you know, and a lot of those athletes are now going from USA Muay Thai and IFMA, and like that's the carrier to go to one or whatever other organization that they may consider. Yeah. And I think there's so much opportunity in this art. So many people are being brought to it. And really the only thing that's going to create a downturn, I think, is probably some type of economic circumstances where people have to sort of get rid of discretionary income. But like when it comes back, this thing is still going to be here. And if you waited and you stayed on the long game, like you're going to reap those benefits, especially when businesses get much, much more healthy.
Absolutely, man. Well, with that too, you know, it's like this last week we had Luke Lassay, who was IFMA team, all that stuff. And you know, his first time, at the, IFMA World Championships, he got creamed. Right. And now look at him, you know, it's like potential fight of the night, pro on one against, you know, a legend in Joe Nottawat.
He won that fight, by the way.
You think so? So I had a debate about this, but we can agree to disagree. But I would say it was very closely judged, and who knows what that seat was like there ringside, right? It's easy for us to look at the camera. And be like, that's what happened, right? But Lonnie, I appreciate the time today. If people want to find you, how do they find you?
Me, so I'm on Instagram. I have a private account, and I kind of like.
Okay.
I need to stop doing this, but I don't let anybody follow me, but I need to stop doing this because of my role, especially now with USA Muay Thai and in mentorship. But it's Lonnie 484. Okay. That's my Instagram. And then my gym is Dragon Gym HQ.
Okay.
On Instagram. So we have you can see the optics of my academy there, like sort of the culture that we have as well, just a point of reference. And then I also have Muay Thai Advisory Group on Instagram as well. I do most of the communication through there. We do all of our paid ads and stuff like that as well. And we do have, man, I'm really excited about this. We have another in-person live event. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug. I'll do a shameless
plug.
For it.
Yeah.
An in-person live event in downtown Westchester, which is 25 miles west of Philly. And that's going to be in late April. And we're super, super excited for that one. It will sell out. We do these things all the time. And then, April 2024. And we always do something experiential. Like we do something neat. Like last time I took everybody to the gun range and we had like a private lesson in shooting. One in San Diego, we took the whole group to the USS Midway and took like a whole tour of the ship. And so we always do something really cool on the front end just to sort of break the ice and create friendships. And then we hang out with everyone as well. So it's a good time, man.
Good, man. Well, hey, thank you for coming on here. I'll make sure to link that all down in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, go click it. It's down there. Go check it out. Go check out the Muay Thai Advisory Group. Go follow Lonnie Beck. We'll see if he'll follow you. And if he'll allow you to follow him. I will. And thank you so much for coming in today, man. I appreciate the insights, and I hope you have a good day.
Thanks, brother, man. It was a pleasure and an honor to be able to do this, and I hope that we get to see each other soon.
For sure. All right, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast. If you enjoy the content, go leave a review over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Give us a rating. It means the world to us. Also, if you want to be a guest on the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast, or if you just want to shout out to your friend, go check us out at podcast.puumuaythai.com. You can submit to be able to be a guest on the podcast. You can submit what you want to talk about. Also, if you want to just give a shout out, there's a button for that too. Sawadee Kop.